In today's world, keeping your network secure while making sure the right people have easy access is more important than ever. That's where CloudConnexa comes in. It gives you a powerful yet flexible way to implement Zero Trust Network Access or ZTNA without all the hassle. With identity-based least privilege access, you can prevent lateral movement. But access control isn't just a one-time check at login. CloudConnexa keeps an eye on where users are connecting from, what device they're using, and whether they still meet security requirements throughout the entire session. If something changes, like a device falling out of compliance or a user connecting from a risky location, CloudConnexa can instantly revoke access to keep your network protected. Simple, smart, and always secure. In this video, we're going to look at how CloudConnexa helps organizations move beyond traditional VPNs and embrace a smarter, more secure way to connect. Let's dive in. The first step to enforce least privilege access is connecting your network to CloudConnexa using OpenVPN protocol or IPsec protocol. So if you go to networks and try to add network, you can choose your scenario here, and then from there you can choose if you want to use the OpenVPN protocol or connecting through the IPsec protocol. Then you can take advantage of using domain name routing and use domain name for resources. You can conceal and protect your network by easily configuring applications using domain names and providing identity-based application access instead. The private network IP addresses are not used for routing in this situation, although you can use IP routes, but that's the best way to cloak your private subnet. A connected user won't be able to look at your private network IP address range, and what cannot be discovered cannot be attacked. All you have to do is just add a DNS record either in your own DNS servers or using CloudConnexa DNS records. So let's look at that. In my situation, I have multiple applications here. If users need to access any of the resources, they can use just a domain name, such as accounting.ovnlab.local, crm.ovnlab.local, and so on. I have also added my DNS records here in CloudConnexa, so they're here. So we're going to connect as a user and see what happens. So let's see what we have here as user, and let's choose Jenny here as user. So switch computer. I'm going to toggle the switch here, and we are connected as Jenny. Now, if I look at the logs, let's look at here, and here we go. We don't see any of the private IP addresses or subnets here. We just see the WPC subnet and domain routing subnet here. That's how we can hide our private IP addresses. Again, a connected user cannot see your private subnet. Even if there is a bad actor and connecting to your network, they won't be able to find other resources. So let's go ahead and disconnect from here and go back to our admin user interface. Access control isn't just about users and devices. It's also about what they should be allowed to do based on their role. CloudConnexa makes this easy by using users, user groups, and access groups locally, or you can use your own identity provider. So let's look at that. You can see on the screen, I have users here. I have groups for these users, and I have already set up access groups as well. My users belong to certain groups, and these groups, they all have different access policy. For example, accounting, people they belong to accounting groups, they have access to only accounting app. Sales team, they have access to CRM and Salesforce, and my support team, they have access to CRM time card. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can also use your own identity provider by using LDAP or SAML. So for example, if you use SAML and SCIM, you can automatically pull user roles and department info from your identity provider. You can map roles to user groups for seamless role-based access control. You can ensure employees only access resources relevant to their job. With this approach, IT teams don't have to manually assign permissions. CloudConnexa dynamically adapts access based on the user roles. That brings me to another point, that access isn't just about who you are, it's also about what device you're using. CloudConnexa ensures that only secure, compliant devices can connect, reducing risks like malware infections or unauthorized access. So device identity verification and enforcement is a policy that prevents user from connecting using untrusted devices. If you set the device identity verification and enforcement to enforce, then you as an admin manually have to enter the UUID of their devices. And from then on, users cannot use any other devices except that authorized device. With DIVE or device identity and verification, there is no profile sharing. Instead of just admitting authorized devices, CloudConnexa ensures the same user profile isn't being misused on multiple devices. This prevents unauthorized device hopping. And the best way to verify authorized devices is by using certificate and integrating them into the device posture check, ensuring that only properly issued devices can connect. While we're on the topic of devices, let's look at the device posture. CloudConnexa evaluates a device's security posture before and during a session. So it checks if antivirus is running, the OS is up to date, or other values. If a device doesn't meet security standards, access is being blocked. Let's look at how we can set up these policies. So let's click on Add Policy, and we're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it my device policy here. And then you can choose the groups. Either you can choose everyone or just certain groups. And then from here, you can choose what type of posture check you want to implement. For example, on the Windows machines, do you want to do OS version, antivirus, certificates, or disk encryption? Let's say that we're going to use antivirus as first posture check. For the purpose of this demo, we're just going to say that ESET, for example, is authorized in our organization. I can add another check. Let's say that I want to make sure that my OS version is at least equal or greater than 10.0.26100. Then for the Mac OS, we can choose antivirus, for example, again. And then the type of antivirus, again, ESET is authorized in our organization. If we want to add other posture, we can do this here. Now, we can also allow or disallow connection from Linux machines, Androids, and iOSs. Once we're happy with the setup, we can click on Add Policy. Let's see what happens if a user from Sales group connect to CloudConnexa. So I'm going to go to users again. Jenny is a member of Sales, so let's go ahead and connect as Jenny. Now, a couple of things here. First of all, we don't have ESET on this machine, so there is no antivirus. And if you look at the system information, we can see the operating system doesn't meet those criteria. So let's go ahead and try to connect as Jenny. And you can see that connectivity is blocked because Windows, this version of Windows is restricted. Let's click OK. Now I'm going to go back to CloudConnexa, to the device posture, and I'm going to edit this policy to just check things out. Let's remove the operating system and update the policy. If there is no antivirus, she shouldn't be able to connect either. So we're going to go back here, try to connect as Jenny. And you can see now again, the connection is being blocked because the antivirus is not there. Now let's go back here, and what we're going to do, we're going to edit this policy again, but this time I'm going to remove the antivirus, and let's put the OS version back in here. We want to make sure the minimum version of our operating system is 2.0.26 0.26.100. And let's go ahead and update policy. So we know that this machine doesn't meet that criteria, and we know that the connection gets blocked, so Jenny cannot connect. Now let's try from another machine, and I'm going to do it from this machine. Again, this one actually meets the criteria. Let me bring the system information. You can see the minimum version is here. So we're going to connect as Jenny here. Let's go ahead and toggle the switch, and she should be able to connect now. Here we go. Jenny is connected because she meets those requirements, which is the operating system. Now let's go ahead and disconnect from here, and now let's talk about the location context policy. CloudConnexa ensures users can only access resources based on their geographical location and network environment, adding an extra layer of security without unnecessary complexity. you can restrict or allow access based on physical location. CloudConnexa continuously tracks location changes during a session. If a user suddenly switches to a risky location or a blocked location, security actions can be triggered and the connection can get dropped. Let's look at our scenario here. We have multiple teams. As you can see, we got accounting team, we got a sales team, European team, and we got multiple users that they connect to our headquarters. Now, each of these teams are different locations. The users are all over the United States, but our headquarters is Los Angeles. We have resources on our file server, FTP server, and web server. We have accounting app, CRM, and time card. We want to make sure that our accounting team can only connect and access the accounting app from this location, from our Chicago office. So if they are traveling, they won't be able to connect to our accounting app. So that's what we're going to do. So we can see the subnet for Chicago office is here. So what we're going to do, we're going to set up a policy that people from accounting can only connect from this IP address, otherwise their connection gets blocked. So let's go back to admin user interface. Now we're going to go to location context and we're going to set up a policy. Let's call it accounting policy. And then the group is going to be our accounting. And we had the subnet or the IP address of 54.193.15.140/28. We want to make sure that we allow them to connect from this subnet, but everything else we want to make sure that it blocks. So if they don't connect from this IP address or this subnet, then their connection gets blocked. So let's go ahead and add the policy. So let's see who's in our accounting team. And if I go to users, we can see Kim. For example, Kim is on our accounting team. So let's go back to this machine. So we're going to connect as Kim. Kim is here, but let's make sure that this is the right machine. So the IP address of this machine actually matches the IP that we enter in our policy. So Kim should be able to connect from this machine. I'm going to click on toggle the switch and we can see Kim is connecting. Let's try from a different office. So I'm going to minimize this and let's bring up the Connect app and we're going to connect as Kim. And here we go. We get this message that your IP or country is forbidden for VPN connection by location policy. So this is how we set up a location context policy for users to connect from only an authorized location. On the other hand, you can set up a connection to block connection from certain countries if you want to do this. So let's say that country access, we're going to name this country access and we're going to give, for example, sales team. And then if you come down here, you can choose a country or multiple countries. Let's say that you want to block all connections from Afghanistan and Albania, and then, but everybody else is good. So we can choose block, and then if they're connecting from anywhere else, we can allow the connection and we can add this policy. So now, as you can see, we have a policy for our sales team that they are not able to connect from Afghanistan and Albania, but they are allowed to connect from anywhere else. We have an accounting policy here that they can only connect from this office and everything else gets blocked. One last thing I want to mention here is that you can leverage device posture, location, and access groups by adding SaaS applications and restricting logins to only occur when connected to CloudConnexa, treating them as a private apps. This means users can only log in when connected to CloudConnexa, ensuring that all traffic to these apps flows through a secure encrypted tunnel. At the same time, with the split tunneling enabled, regular internet traffic stays outside the tunnel for better performance. All you have to do is just add your CloudConnexa connector IP address to allowed IP addresses on your SaaS application. In simple terms, you can define services using public or private domain names and set up access control to enforce role-based or least privileged access for different user groups, all while using the CloudConnexa. This keeps sensitive application traffic secure while still giving users the flexibility they need. I also need to mention here that you can set up the restricted internet access or a split tunnel on or off, and you can take advantage of the content and traffic filtering by using an enabling shield. So in conclusion, CloudConnexa delivers strong security without complexity, giving you zero trust access based on user identity, device security, and location. Role-based access control using SAML and SCAM for automatic permissions, or you can use the users and user groups locally with CloudConnexa. Continuous security checks to prevent session hijacking or non-compliant devices. Flexible traffic routing for better security performance and control. And the last point is that with the CloudConnexa, you don't have to choose between security and usability. You get both.